To me, everything is contextual. Everything have its own context. And in the case of these voyages of Dumont d'Urville to different parts of the world, but we are talking about, in this project, we are talking about the voyages to my country and the interaction between the voyages of Dumont d'Urville and my people, in most cases my family, and how that these representations are images of my family, direct family, you could say. But when I mention context, it's because these voyages of Dumont d'Urville are considered the last of the great voyages from the Occidental world, from Europe. They are the last over a bigger period spanning from, say, approximately the middle or toward just after the middle of the 18th century. So you have the French explorer Jean-Baptiste de Surville, and at the same time Commander James Cook. He wasn't a captain then. And in these voyages, they encountered the Maori culture in a condition where it was literally first contact. And then, if you look at the voyages of Dumont d'Urville, which we're talking about a time frame of about 60 years. 60 years of voyaging, of voyages of exploration, traveling from Europe and coming into the Pacific over a period of 60 years. So in this period of 60 years, a lot of things changed. So in the case of the arrival of Dumont d'Urville and the 3 voyages that he was involved with, he witnessed Maori people in a different context to Cook and de Surville and these other early voyages. He witnessed a whole different context. The people had made the transition from Neolithic culture, no metal, just stone, and made the quantum leap directly into the industrial modern age. So the whole culture, the whole world, the whole country, everything involved was in a state of massive transition, complete flux and change, and rapid change. So with this change comes, you could say, a lot of turmoil, a lot of disruption, a lot of adaptation, modification, and period of really great change, where the people that, so I make this point that my youngest son Ulysses is 5 years old. So my youngest son Ulysses, if he could have met Captain Cook in de Surville when he was 5 years old, and then by the time he's 56 years old, the age I am now, he would be meeting Dumont d'Urville. So it's in one generation of change, of complete change. In one lifetime, the people had changed dramatically with the acquisition of Western technology, firearms, guns, scissors, fourchette, pianos, mirrors, clothing, equally important, the Bible as a source of literacy. So in this short in this one lifetime generation, the Maori people had achieved between 60 and 70% literacy. So they had a strong sense of agency, of being in the new life, because the old life couldn't stay like that. You can't stop change. You walk I say you walk on a like a trapeze. You know, you walk on a line, on a rope, tight rope, and you must balance yourself on this rope, and you are balancing, directing the changes and being directed by the changes. And Dumont d'Urville encountered my people in this condition of trying to direct and be directed by the changes and stay not fall off the rope. And yet at the same time, the people were still in their old ways. They were still robust in the old ways of the world that we knew, the world of stone, but at the same time taking with the hands like this, aggressively at times, the new ways. And I always find that this is an exciting condition to be in, when you are holding on to, not forgetting who you are, but at the same time you take the new ways. And for me, it's a code of living. And I want to honor that code of living, that I want to honor that spirit of people taking the changes with their hands confidently, not being seen as victims of the change, but being seen as actors, participants, and directors of the change that they're in. And so these images for me are astonishing. They're astonishing images. The image of the people performing haka on the ship, this image over here to my right, shows very well the physiology of the people. There are men, old men, adult, middle-aged men, and young men all in the picture. There are women in the picture. There are children in the picture. They are a group of people, and their bodies are composed of muscle and sinew. They are people who are physically strong. They are people who obviously lead an active life, physically active life. They are not sedentary or obese, or they are strong in their bodies. And this particular image inspires me to want to keep pushing myself and my life as they did. Dumont d'Urville encountered a country, my country, in a complete state of war. It was the age of the country at war. It was a civil war, where the different nations, the different groups within the country were fighting. There was power struggles going on all around Dumont d'Urville. These things always come with change. It was an armed struggle with firearms, with guns, and the winner takes all. So, and in part, the new arrivals, the Europeans, were responsible for this change because they brought the technology. They brought the change. So all of these factors are all going on in place where the people are trying to as I repeat myself, the people are trying to hold the old ways, but also grab the new ways. They're trying to do both. And now, nearly 200 years later, I come to France. I'm here in Rochefort, which is the one of the places in France of great maritime naval power in those times. As we know, Rochefort is a purpose-built naval facility under the orders of the king to create this facility for the purposes of securing France as a naval power against her great rival England. And so all of the factors and accoutrement that surrounds naval power is here. The construction of ships, the construction of cordage, ropes. All of these things were the weapons, the cannons, the metal, the wood, the food, the personnel, the training, the science of it all of the things required to maintain France's naval prestige is in this place, you know. So I come to the place where, in this context, this young man, de Sanson, who was a clerk. He was a technical clerk in the Navy, young man from a relatively well-born family. He had a good position. He was an excellent technical draftsman, and I think Dumont d'Urville and others spotted his talent, saw that he had this talent as an illustrator, and so they took him on the voyage as a young man. And his role was to record the scenes, the people, the land, the culture that they encountered. He was the camera to capture real life. This is not a new thing. The earlier voyages took artistes de voyage with them as well. But what is significant in these voyages was that upon returning to France, de Sanson immediately went. He accompanied the massive collection of drawings and illustrations. He accompanied them to the Paris-based lithographers. Usually they would have just been handed directly to the lithographers, and there would have been no relationship. And so the lithographers were reinterpreting drawings of a world they had no idea about. They weren't there. They didn't go. In this case, they made sure that de Sanson was there to collaborate and supervise the construction of these lithographs, these images. So for me, that's a significant aspect, because it is the deciding factor on the accuracy. It is in this that the transfer from the sketches, from the drawings to the lithograph, they still managed to capture not only the physical life of the people, but they managed to capture the character of the people, and all the nuance that goes with it. In particular for me, they capture a people who are not intimidated by the Western world. They are the only superiority they feel under is a technological superiority, but they feel strong and proud and know exactly who they are. And so, for me, I see this as a circle. You can say, I I come to France with the intention of continuing the story that Dumont d'Urville and de Saint-Saëns and the brothers Lesson and all this context of the times. For me, the story is a story that continues. And so you can say, in one respect, I literally am walking out of the lithograph. I'm coming out of the picture, and I'm in a repeat performance in some ways here in Rochefort. However, the difference is that now the context has changed because this is all history. So the place where this context continues is in the museum, because the original function of Rochefort doesn't exist anymore. It's become relegated to historic importance and tourism. You know, it has touristic value, visitor value. So it's no longer the powerhouse, the eminent place of power that it once was 200 years ago. That's the difference. But there's a lot of things that are not different. For me, the place itself, the architecture, the people here are still, in some ways, are still the same people. If I look at it through my kind of close one eye and go like this, and look at it through my artistic soul, I see the same characters. I see the same residue of those past lives. Huh? So I've come, and my desire is to once again talk about context, about this contextualization. And how I'm doing that is I'm recontextualizing this past interaction in a way that I can, because I didn't live 200 years ago, I live now. So I want to bring the George of now to the story, and I do that by using modern techniques. I use modern materials such as the polystyrene, and behind me you can see in plexiglas. I used modern materials to evoke and to bring to the conversation the past, to make the old new, to see the old in the new eyes of today. So I'm not primarily interested in photocopying the past so much. That's the job of other people like Claude. My job is to bring life to the past, to bring my particular life. I can only speak for myself. And like and just like de Saint-Saëns had developed relationships with the lithographers. I found myself in a similar situation with the infographist people from Studio Ludo. I was presented to them by Claude, and I found myself, we were in a relationship that was kind of similar to the relationship with de Saint-Saëns and the lithographers. We were working together. We were reinterpreting these interpretations. And so for me it was kind of like a psychic replay. Yeah. That this continued, and we built a rapport, and we formed a relationship based on mutual respect. And this mutual respect is coming from competency, that these people are competent in their skill in what they do, and so am I. And that way, the relationship is one of equality. It's an equal relationship. Equal relationships are really important to me because I'm in the business of creating a complete environment here, a complete experience in here. You could say that, in fact, this room is a museum inside of a museum. I'm creating this museum that stands inside this bigger museum. And if I'm doing that, then that makes me an institution. I'm an institution. I am the institution of George Nuku, and I am here in relationship with the institution of the Musée Hèbre de Saint-Clément. So we are two institutions working equally, eye to eye. Not like this, or like this, but like this. And for me, that's a very important way to operate. And I'm invited here. So the museum and the team of the museum have responsibility as my host. As the person who's invited to perform my task, I'm a guest. And I have responsibilities as a guest. I have responsibilities to deliver my service to the best of my ability. And as the host, they have responsibility to ensure that to facilitate my and support the execution of my task. So these kinds of interrelations are just as important as the work that's created. The work that is ultimately created is a reflection of that. It's an indication of the quality of the relationship. Like the quality of the relationship between de Saint-Saëns and the lithographers to create these astonishing images. And this quality of relationship reverberates through time and space. And it is a treasure. It's a form of treasure. It's a treasure that we all are involved in, and we are all charged with delivering this treasure to the public. That is our shared responsibility and our shared objective and our shared task together. And by doing that, we ensure that the public audience benefits through this transmission of this knowledge, this transmission of this quality of knowledge, of this quality of expression, and hopefully, I believe that we can provide some kind of inspiration to the public, especially to the younger audiences. They are the most important. That we can provide this inspiration to them, as I'm inspired by these images. As they inspired me, I take this inspiration, I digest this inspiration, it distills inside of me, and then I express this inspiration to the audience, to the public. This project, you could say, is almost as long as the Voyages of Dumont d'Urville for me. It's been 7 years of gestation with Claude, Stéphanie, 7 years. 7 years of speaking to Claude about this project. 7 years of yes and then no, yes, no, and the frustrations that come with that. The idea that both myself and Claude and the city of Rochefort didn't let go of this dream. We didn't. And maybe it's taught me some lesson of patience and acceptance and that good things come in the right time. The irony for me is that I am grateful now that it's taken 7 years, because in the 7 years I've changed a great deal from all of my work around the world in institutions, and I've arrived at this time where I'm ready to do this project. For me, this project will probably be one of the greatest achievements of my life. Yeah. And that's not a small thing to say for me, because I've made over 50 projects around the world in institutions, large projects. But this project has many layers to it, many levels, deep significance. This project is both heavy and light. As the plexiglas appears light, but it's very heavy. And as the polystyrene can appear heavy in volume, but in fact it's very light. So we have these kinds of contradictions and paradox and irony, as I mentioned. And for me, contradiction, paradox and irony are very, very crucial to my life. Because between these contradictions, we can discover some truths. We can discover many kinds of truths about many things. For me, that's where the truths exist. They exist between things. I don't necessarily support that truth is an absolute. I don't support that. I like to believe that truth is something we discover. It's a discovery, like Dumont discovered, like de Saint-Saëns discovered, like Claude's discovered, like I've discovered, like we've all discovered. And we discover many things about each other that ultimately lead to self-discovery. And perhaps in the final stage, when this box-off museum is complete and presented, that we can see a part of ourselves in it. Each and every one of us, you can see somewhere in this room yourself through the others. And I think ultimately that that's probably the biggest contribution we could make in our life, is to build empathy, is to build a feeling where we consider the others.